Sri Vaishnava Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya for the welcome address.
Good morning to all of you. I'm very happy to welcome all of you to this webinar, which is part of the series that we had started earlier. I would also like to welcome Dr. Hans Lux to this webinar. I don't know, have I pronounced your name correctly?
Lux.
Lux, okay. Dr. Hans Lux. Well, today the topic of this webinar is very interesting. As we know, the relationship between games and education is well known. We all know. Particularly, it's a relationship with learning during the early stages, that means in school age. But so far as the higher education is concerned, particularly in the disciplines like management, I have been professor of management now for more than 4 decades. We have been using games very often in management education as well as management training both. So we have at many times demonstrated that how one can learn very effectively while playing. So there are various aspects which are very important. For example, player satisfaction. And besides that, how far player satisfaction improves the learning of a person. In my view, so far as the higher education is concerned, the relationship between this gamification and learning, so far as this area is concerned, there is scope to explore and do the research. Extensive research has not happened so far. So that's why through these webinars, we are trying to invite people who are experts and who have done some work, not only research, but who are practitioners using games for learning and fun both, so that we know better about this field and we can design some research programs to have better understanding about this emerging field. I would still say it is emerging. I won't say it is all established and everything is known and lot is known. I won't say that, but lot needs to be explored. Therefore, from that point of view, also this is a very interesting and very important session today. I would not like to stand for a long time between the speaker, the distinguished speaker who has joined us, Dr. Hans Lux, and all those participants who are eager to listen. So once again, Dr. Lux, welcome to PRATITI. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to have a preface. I'm in Portugal, building my house in Portugal. So it's 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. And yesterday my laptop broke, so it was kind of panicking to get everything done on my iPad. So hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. Is everything? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay. I'm working for IJsfontein now.
No, it's midnight here.
Yeah, it was an early break this morning. IJsfontein, yeah, I worked for 10 years for IJsfontein, which is an international company based in Amsterdam. I've worked for 25, 35 years in corporate companies, like a communication, in airlines and in hardware building. I lived in Hong Kong, Los Angeles, and London before I joined IJsfontein. I'm leaving a little bit IJsfontein. I'm 63 this year. and try to get my attention to other things like building my house, but also writing and lecturing. I do a lot of lecturing in Dutch universities. The Dutch serious gaming, playful learning industry is a very healthy, fast-growing industry in Holland. It's part of the Dutch creative industry. I think that Holland has in Europe, and I can't tell you that for the rest of the world, but in Holland we have the largest serious gaming, playful learning sector of Europe. And the sector operates worldwide. When I prepared this presentation, I become increasingly clear that our industry is the result of the quality of the educational, the governmental, and the scientific infrastructure in Holland. And that's very weird when I looked at it, because for 10 years, I was used to selling IJsfontein products and services to the rest of the world. And I thought we were so good and so interesting, and therefore we sold a lot. But actually, we are the product of a very versatile infrastructure of government, education, small creative companies, and the scientific community in Holland. And I'm going to explain in my presentation how that works. Because I think the Dutch world, the Dutch infrastructure and ecosystem is quite unique in the world. Let me share my presentation.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
May I introduce you before the session?
I'm sorry?
Sir, let me introduce you first.
Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. Yeah, okay.
So, speaker of today's webinar is Mr. Hans.
Oh.
And after a long corporate career, Mr. Hans onboarded Spontaneous, a company specialized in playful learning in 2012 as operations director. Mr. Hans studied economics and informatics at the University of Amsterdam and wrote his master's thesis about the economic implications of the art in Amsterdam. Already as a junior programmer at KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, he has been interested in the way companies develop innovative products, both at Targus computer hardware supplier and at UPC telecommunications. He has worked on the cutting edge of technology and its application. At Spontaneous, the focus has been first at the internal company culture of creativity and innovation, the right people and the right procedures. The motto is culture eats, strategy for breakfast. Later, he moved his attention to business development, sales, and he developed an ecosystem of partnership for Spontaneous. Mr. Hans has been active as board member in the Dutch Game Association and the Federation of Creative Industries. I once again welcome Mr. Hans and request him to please start the session.
Sorry, I started that early.
So you can
start?
You can continue the session.
Can I continue, Mrs.
Yes,
Partijn?
sure.
Okay,
Sure.
all right.
Yes.
All right. Just a short story of IJsfontein. We are a playful learning company, but we claim to have serious impact. For 25 years in business, for the first, we're active in 4 market segments: education, health, museums, and corporate. We do not do any projects on marketing, sales, advertisement, etc. We limit ourselves to learning, awareness, and mostly in the last 10 years, behavioral change. We're active in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. We have 40 employees, and we showered with prizes. We have a BAFTA, one of the 3 companies or products that had a BAFTA in Holland, Serious Play, and I don't know how many Dutch awards. To get you a little bit acquainted with IJsselstein, I go through 5 projects. Masters of the Elements, that the first projects we ever did 25 years ago, ABCDE Sim, into dementia, delirium experiences stepwise. You will see that most of those projects are health related. And the health sector is the sector in our company that's most related to the academic sector. We work very close with academic researchers in the health sector because you cannot introduce something in the health sector without proper research. And there is the big link, the link between our company and the scientific community. The first one is ever have to be mentioned is Master of Elements. It's a game that's been sold all over the world. I think it's one of the first serious games ever to be developed on a computer. It's for children to learn science, and it's a very playful way to learn how to get kids introduced to the physical phenomena. Actually, this product positioned IJsselstein in the serious gaming market 25 years ago. Sorry. The second one is ABCDE Sim. ABCDE Sim, it's a huge product. We developed it with the University of Rotterdam, Erasmus, and the Technical University of Twente. And it's based on 3 open source simulations of the human body. And it's meant to help doctors, general practices, surgeons, burning specialists, and children doctors to learn them how to stabilize 2 patients within a quarter of an hour in the emergency room. And and you can see there, and what I thought one of the most, it's sold from a startup from the University of Rotterdam Erasmus to the rest of the world. But what you can see here is that dark play, you learn as much from good play as from dark play. Everybody tries to kill the patient by an overdose or whatever, but even that has the same kind of learning quality as to when you color between the lines. The third project I want to mention is Into Dementia. Into Dementia is a container, a big container that you have to transport on a big truck. And the goal is to help create understanding for people with dementia, for caregivers and family members. You come in the container with a handful of keys and a shopping bag, and you have this a little jacket on with a speaker on the shoulders, which is your inner voice. And the short takeout is, in a half hour, you feel you are demented yourself. And in here, we try to design empathy for people with dementia. And this is a huge success. That containers has been sold to Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland. And they're part of institutions where people with dementia are being taken in. We're working now on a new version, on a more scalable version, which is in a 3D environment with goggles. The fourth one is delirium experience. a lot of older people experience a delirium after an operation. We made an experience that that teaches nurses and doctors how it is, what to do to make sure that people don't have that delirium, or that deliriums will be diminished. And we did three. The researchers did three different populations. They researched three different populations. The population that had the normal, how do you say that? Let me take a look at it. Sorry. We had three target audiences that we researched. One, the teaching, the normal teaching in a class. The second one is an e-learning, and the third one was the game. And the researchers looked at the quality of the plan that the students made to get the dementia diminished. And the game had a 700% higher quality of the plan a half a year later. So that was a huge result for our game. The last one I want to mention is Stepwise. We work closely with Bas Bloem, which is a professor in Nijmegen, regarding Parkinson. We also work closely with the Michael J. Fox Foundation and with MIT. And the whole idea is, how can we get people motivated to exercise? And we know that exercises diminishes the results of Parkinson big time. At the moment, we do the research. A couple of PhDs are researching the effects of the app, and we expect that the app will have a huge impact on the motivation to keep on exercising. So at the moment, we have 25 PhDs that are having their PhDs researching and working on our apps and on our games. We use the relationship between us and the scientific community is that they try to validate our games and our playful learning, our playful applications. Also, we work in co-creation with the academic community, and we try to sharpen our design methodologies. The biggest problem with working with the academic community is it takes so long. And then mostly the technology is outdated when 3 to 5 years later the PhDs are ready with their validation research. So we try to speed up the design methodologies. So in an early stage, we already have some ideas that our products are working, instead of waiting for the last moment. So that's the 25 PhDs that already have their PhD now. We have now 6 PhDs that are working on current products, under which Stepwise. Now, the idea is, how is it possible that a little company as Evidencebased has such a huge impact in Holland, in working with the academic community? And I learned that's not our quality. It's the quality of the academic community itself, the governmental infrastructure, and the industrial policy that made it possible. And I want to go through that world. Holland already had a long tradition of playful learning. My big hero, Erasmus, already wrote books how to educate people in the 16th century. He believed that if education can be as good as a game, kids can be educated much better. So Desiderius Erasmus embraced the principles of encouragement, low stress, and playful learning. By the way, he was probably the first pacifist, the first feminist, and a huge innovative education professor. And of course, Huizinga wrote the first Erasmus biography, and he was very much inspired by Erasmus, but 400 years later. And he wrote a book, Homo Ludens, which you probably all know. And for Huizinga, playing is a voluntary action, and it takes place under a set of conditions and results in excitement and joy. And it could be any kind of space, would it be in an arena of a podium, a pool table, or a temple. For Huizinga, our main institutions like the rule of law, parliament, etc., are derived from playing. IJsselstein is a part of Dutch design. Dutch design worldwide has a huge impact. Dutch design products are being sold anywhere in the world, and we're part of that. And we've moved from an aesthetical pleasing activity to a playful interactive design with a deeper message to contribute to solutions to real life issues. And you can see also Dutch design is not about nice products, but it's how can we change people's life for the better. Also in Dutch design, you can see that we're moving away from the autonomous designer. We're moving away, we're working in teams, in collaboration with different research, with different disciplines, researchers, government, and companies. And it's not only for IJsselstein as a little company of 40, but we can see that trend over in all the Dutch big design world. Secondly, important is the educational infrastructure in Holland. We have 56 universities, and they all teach game design and game development. Every year, we have 1,600 students with a game master or a bachelor, resulting in approximately 300 serious game companies and 300 entertainment companies. But most of them are smaller than 10 full-time equivalents. So it's a very, the educational infrastructure in Holland is very versatile and gives us enough specialists to work with. By the way, IJsselstein has always a list of 200 people who want to work for us. So we have enough personnel. That's not a problem. The Dutch government has a huge impact on what we do, especially in our relation to the academic community. The Dutch government defined a mission-driven top sector innovation policy. That means that entrepreneurs and scientists and government have joined forces in 9 top sectors. One of them is the creative industry. And we are part of the creative industry. We have defined 25 missions, and they have 4 social themes: energy transition and sustainability, agriculture, water and food, health and security. And you can see that most of what we do is health related in terms of our relationship with the scientific community. The government invests in research, entering public-private partnerships, providing financial arrangements. And entrepreneurs like IJsselstein play a key role in converting innovation to concrete applications and products. I'm also one of the, I'm also in the board of the Federation of Creative Industries. And we're continuously working together with the other 8 top sectors to make sure that we work in a versatile and fruitful emissions. And all the different 46 universities and colleges are part of this mission-driven top sector and innovation policy. Then academic research grants. Many European and Dutch academic research grants require a consortium, including a small company. A small company like IJsselstein has a huge and active role in designing the applications. For instance, at the moment, I'm working on a application for 5 million euros. And the application is in a consortium with 20 organizations. They're scientists, academics, educations, small companies, but also society organizations. And it's all about how can we handle depression in our current society. And it's the 3rd time that we make that application, and we are very sure that the 5 million will be granted this year. And IJsselstein will be part of that big consortium. The research grants, though, have a very low hourly rate. We cannot live on the research grants, but they have a long horizon, mostly 3 to 5 years. And that lowers the development volatility of our company. We can put a little downtime during the years in those projects, and that contributes to a healthy company. Over time, IJsselstein developed a co-created evidence-based game development methodology. As a healthy game world has 4 players. It has the developers like IJsselstein. It has the client, the people who know what they're doing. They have the researchers that are able to validate what we make. But it's also one that mostly is not there, is the publisher. Because if you really want to make a grand success of your game, you have to sell it over the world. Otherwise, it stays in a closet, mostly in a university far away from whoever wants to use it. And it's those, and I'm not going to go into the details of the evidence-based design, but it's a continuous testing of the prototypes. We develop it in co-creation with the researchers, the clients, and the publishers, and therefore we try to shorten the development time of the game by a year or 2 years, because one of the biggest mistakes that we can make is that it takes too long. And I can tell you, the ABCDE game, one of the examples that I gave you before, took 3 to 5 years, 5 years to develop. It's still in Flash, and the money isn't there to get it in a new technology. If we cannot speed up the process, the technology will bite us in the tail. What are the big missing links now in our little world in Holland? Is that we don't have enough serious game publishers in Holland. It's the publishers that are lacking. Also, the universities are sitting on their IP without active marketing. I don't know how it is in India, but we mostly give the IP to the universities, and then nothing happens. The universities don't have the money to put a product into the market. If you will market a game, you need, for instance, you have a 500,000 million euro development budget, then you need another 2-3 million to validate it, but you also need 1 million to put it in the market. Game development to have a healthy game into the worldwide market, you need a lot of money, and there's not enough money in the Dutch market to make this happen. And last but not least, at the moment we are making an application, a gamified application that helps students with their mental health in the University of Rotterdam, Erasmus University, and what we see, it takes researchers a long time to make up their mind. That means that always the lead times are taking too long. Researchers cannot make a decision. How can you have to make quicker decisions? The lead times have to be quicker, because otherwise it takes too long. And that's one of the problems with researchers. They can be extremely slow in their decision making. Anyways, I thought these are the most important missing links in our little world in Holland. Although it's a very versatile, a very fruitful world where we live in, where we can have a good I think we have 20 serious game companies that are active all over the world. It's still something to be wish for. These are the most important elements of my speech, and I hope we can have a discussion now. Thank you very much. Hello.
Just 2 questions can be invited.
Yes. I request panel members to ask the questions.
Professor Hans?
Dr. Elizabeth?
Yeah, Professor Hans, could you please
Professor.
elaborate? Could you please elaborate a bit more on?
Sorry.
Could you please elaborate a bit more on evidence-based gaming? Evidence-based gaming. Evidence-based game development. Elaborate a bit more. Please elaborate a bit more on evidence-based game development.
Yeah. Okay. I will. First of all, you can see the 4 players in the evidence-based design. You have publishers, clients, developers, and researchers. The researchers, they need to have the theory, and they need to have a validated theory. And we can use the validated theory in a working application. It's important that we have the users and the consumers and the customers in the testing environment. We probably, most of the money in this evidence-based design goes in testing. We test our butt off. We continuously are testing and testing and testing and testing. That's probably the most important thing that we do. And we test first from a paper prototype. We never start programming before we are certain that the paper prototype works. Then again, the publisher needs to have an idea of the market. If there's no valorization possible, why should you want to develop a game? If you cannot sell it, why bother? Secondly, if we are happy with paper prototype, then we test then we in sprints we test step by step the game, and later on we try to implement it. Implementation of the game is extremely important. How are the customers and the clients onboarding? Where can they find the game? Don't forget it. The app stores of Google and Samsung, Google, are extremely competitive. Where can you find the game? How do they onboard the game? That's extremely important. Also, the publisher has a huge influence on that problem. So in the end, we need to have a validated game that can be onboarded, that everybody knows. They know where to find it. They know how to use it. A good game doesn't need a manual, as you know. If you need a manual for a game, well, it doesn't work. You have to, it has to be instantly. And then finally, we have a game that we can sell around the world. So that's more or less the evidence-based design. It is all about how can customers know they have a game that works, a game that is easy to handle, and we can market it all around the world, or even in the markets that we want to address. Any other questions?
Is there any other question?
Yeah, sir, excellent. Yeah, it is excellent explanation. I find this morning when searching for a prepare for a lecture to understand it, Carl Newport, he come up with a 4-minute video on a game to create that MVP, and he is correlating with the lecture. Thank you very much. Very useful insight.
Okay.
I send that to Professor Dubey.
So one more question from the Mr. Vinod Damlekar, sir. That can you show some videos related to serious games?
Not now, because I'm a little bit unhandy because I don't have my laptop with me. It broke down yesterday. I only have an iPad. But if you go to www.ijsfontein.nl, you'll find all the videos of our games.
Okay. Is there any other question from panel
Question
members?
from Elizabeth.
Hello, Hans. I seem to have a reputation for asking questions.
Yeah.
I was particularly interested in the frustration you expressed about the researchers not making up their minds. And I'm wondering how that fits with those astonishing graduation numbers of students who have that games knowledge and the enthusiasm and the passion. What do you think are the barriers for between the passion and the action?
Yeah, and you have to, in your company, you need to have people that have the patience to deal with it, and people who've been there. We see that other companies in Holland try to replicate our success in let's say, in working with the researchers that we work with, but it requires a lot of patience, and it also requires an extremely well-disciplined project organization. For instance, the project that I just mentioned about wellness, student wellness in Rotterdam, the Recto Magnificus. is the chairman of the steering group. So if people cannot make up their mind, we have to go up and we have to escalate the questions. Because if you cannot have that escalation, it takes forever. A lot of PhDs, they're in the, and also a lot of researchers, they're in the beginning of their career. They're extremely uncertain what they're doing. And look, we are working 25 years in a company. We know what we're doing. And those researchers are young lads, young people, young girls that are in the beginning of their career, and they're uncertain. So that requires a lot of patience, but it also requires a well-disciplined project organization.
It also seems to me that it requires an environment within the university that will encourage the researchers to make up their minds. So if they're not, I encountered that elsewhere. And earlier on in your presentation, I was thinking I would really like something like this to be possible in Australia, which is where I am, because we do have lots of graduates, but they seem to disappear into black holes. There's no, not a lot of activity connecting them together. It's quite difficult. So
yeah, it's I don't know, but we're in July 9th, we have a 25 years anniversary of IJsselstein.
Congratulations.
And we have probably 20 of the PhDs that we work with now will be present there. And we still have a lot of contact with them. And also there, you always have to make this PhD, how do you say that in English? Report, your
dissertation.
And on 5 of these dissertations, we are one of our personnel, one of our IJsselstein people are co-writing the dissertation. So it's a very strong relationship with that community.
And you've taken your time to build it, yes.
Yeah, and it's very important, Elizabeth, because what I'm going to say is probably offends a lot of people, but universities cannot make good products.
I totally agree with you.
They're unable to make something that truly works, and we can do that. We are working in museums where our products are there for 25 years, and it always works.
So the issue is maybe universities shouldn't be trying to make products.
No, you shouldn't.
But a better place to generate and promote. But they still try to make products, and everything slows down.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. Also, one of the big problems that they think they can make products, and then they can think they can market those products into the World Wide Web, and that doesn't work. And a university is the worst salesman.
I hate to say it, but I'm pleased to hear you say it, because it is an opinion I've had for a long time. And yet I see a lot of universities working really hard to try and do that.
Oh, yeah.
So how would they operate better, like in the games environment?
Oh, yeah. Okay. And now, Elizabeth, this is I'm gonna put there's a lot of problems here. This is university sitting on an IP without active market. What happens is, in Holland, we have this idea that things are made with public money, the public should make money on.
Makes sense to me.
And that's a very noble goal, but it doesn't work. One of our most successful, I think one of the products I'm extremely proud of is the ABCDE game, Sim. But it took 4 years before the university signed all the contracts for the startup that came from the university and started to sell the product all over the world. That's too late.
Yes.
Because we have those officers, mostly, I don't know how those officers are named in English, but they are lawyers, people with and they think they can arrange everything. They are the opposite of an entrepreneur.
So I guess for Dr. Upindadar, this must maybe perhaps part of the issues you will be facing with your centre at the university, is how to achieve the kind of innovation that Hans is talking about while operating in an environment like that. Although I'm not sure whether you have the same environment at the SVVV.
Yeah, see, environment is of course different, but at the same time, point is well taken. It needs to be, research needs to be encouraged in this area. A lot needs to be done. Yeah. Yeah, you were saying something?
No, I was just thinking everybody is hastening slowly, but we need to pick up the pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that, and companies like IJsselstein, and we now have this 10 years experience in working this way. The pace have to be quicker. Universities have to, you cannot work 5 years on a product.
No, yeah.
And that's and I don't. The PhDs normally have a contract for 3 to 5 years in Holland, and the grants are also mostly for 3 to 5 years. But if we want to put something, successful in the market, we have to go faster.
Yes, absolutely.
And therefore, small companies are a condition sine qua non for any success, also for universities. And I can see that in the States, in the United States, they have that. They do that much better than we do in Europe.
I guess I'll sidestep that one. I wanted to go back to something you were talking about, Huizinga and Erasmus. It seems to me that the Netherlands has a sense of playfulness in its culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just wondering, how does that come to be? I know it's a big question, but
yeah, I think so. I think it's because of the early urbanization. The public space was very much limited already in times of Erasmus, and Erasmus was the first one who said, "Look, if you really want to use that small public space in those early cities, you really have to have rules to deal with each other." And those rules were extremely playful. The city became almost a game for Erasmus. He already described how kids had to behave themselves into a city, or have to behave themselves in the neighborhood of adults. He was the one who said, "Look, girls have to be educated." 1500. You cannot bully and use the whip to get kids educated. That doesn't work. He was the one who said,
"Look, I wish Erasmus would have more influence on English education, because
Yep.
there's not
Yeah.
not a lot of his influence in the education that I had. I would like
okay.
more of it. Yes.
Yeah, Thomas Morris was his big friend, of course, and he was very much inspired by Morris' two daughters, and he wrote a book about how to educate the two girls of Thomas Morris.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's how it all.
When I did
But of
my
course,
doctorate-
Henry VIII killed Thomas Morris.
Ah, okay.
Aha.
There's
Okay,
the
yeah.
connection. Yes.
Therefore,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Why specifically girls? Why do you mention about specifically girls? Education of girls.
Oh yeah, I mean, it took a long time. Girls now are doing much better in the whole world, in the academic world. And of course, in 1500 in Europe, girls were not taken seriously as as intellectual material. And now look at us 500 years later. 60% of the Dutch academic world is female. And we're still waiting for the glass ceiling to be shattered. And I hope it's going to be fast.
Yes, today is a time of equity. So I don't think there is any discrimination. Girls are certainly doing better. They are more meritorious and they are demonstrating that everywhere.
Yeah.
In India also, girls are doing very well in academics.
Yeah, that's even in our company, we are moving quickly away from a male-dominated company to a female-dominated company. And I'm 63, and I'm gone soon up in this. So some girl will take my place.
Yeah. Okay, Professor Guru Prasad, any question or any opinion on this?
Sir, thank you.
Okay, Vinod is now asking questions today. What happened, Vinod? Why Vinod is silent today?
Sorry, mute. I already have asked probably the second question. I wanted to see some videos or snippets of Hans' serious games, but I understand he does not have them here.
No, you can go to www.ijsfontein.nl, and then you go to the English version, and there are a lot of videos there.
I'll do that. Thank you, sir.
You can take it on you. There are a lot of videos.
Okay, over to Rupali.
Okay. So I want to thank Mr. Hans for the wonderful and interesting session and for providing knowledge about relationship between play and the academic world. It was really a very interesting session for all of us, and communication between all the panel members was also useful for all of us. So I hand over the session to Dr. Jigyasu Dubey sir for giving the words of thanks.
Thank you, Rupali.
Yeah, I just wait, sir. I request Dr. Dhar and also Dr. Dubey to conduct a full-fledged FDP on evidence-based game design and development. I think this is a very, very requirement, and because we should know very completely.
We'll do it certainly.
Yeah, but sir, already 5 months over, sir. 6 months now. I'm attending it. So design, I think that is a very, very important, very, very central.
Invite Mantosh as one of the resource persons.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Will do, sir.
Sir, I'm a student, sir. Lifelong student.
All of us are learners.
But I formed a group. Sir, but I have formed a group on the Capsim simulation, and they're doing very well. They started only 1 month. Capsim for MVP and product development. Viable product. So
That's
that
nice.
losses of startups will be diminished.
Okay. So you can let us know about any special sessions we would like to join and learn from you.
And I would be interested.
Sir, more session on MDP.
Okay, so these are all MDPs. You conduct MDPs on that.
Yeah. With regard to Capsim, I would be very interested to hear how the underlying models in Capsim align with business principles and practices in India, because I
Yeah.
find they are not always culturally relevant in different contexts. So I would be very interested to hear about what you see about that, what you find experience.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Actually, we
I
have now
have-
started experimenting.
I've set up a company in India.
Ah,
What is that?
Okay.
Which company?
Ludowise.
Okay.
We had a couple of years ago, we started a company in India, Ludowise, where we did insights how we could use our way of working in India. The
mhm.
problem was India requires, that's our takeout, games that are already made. They are they don't want to pay for the development.
Yeah.
And we are a development company.
That will be well. That's one cultural difference.
Yeah, that's absolutely cultural difference. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just that I found when I worked in Finland that Capsim, its language and some of its cultural assumptions about how economics work are not the same in Finland.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why I said for that use of Capsim in India, I would really love to know more about what the students are finding out about the difference between the underlying assumptions in the game and their experience of business in India. I suspect there will be differences.
Yeah.
So
we've
it's
seen a lot of
interesting
differences.
to know more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can do anything there, we still have to
Yeah,
go.
madam, actually, yeah, my group is actually not the researcher. They are actually startup people trying to struggle to make money and minimizing the losses. They are not academics.
Okay. Anything you can tell me would be really interesting. Perhaps when the students are a bit further along.
Professor Elizabeth, why don't you come to India and work for some time with us?
Oh, I would love to, but I need a job offer. Make me an offer.
Yeah, Dr. Jignasu Dubey will be collaborating.
Yes.
You see, this is an open invitation to you, Elizabeth. You can come.
If anybody wants to, if anybody wants to cooperate with us in our Indian company, let us know.
Sure. We'll be in
That would
touch
be
with you.
good. I'm sure Dr. Pindadar will be in touch with you, Hans, in that regard.
Yeah. We'll be in touch with you. Elizabeth, when can you come to India this year?
I could come to India in October, November.
Okay, fine. So we'll write to you. We'll be in touch with you.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can plan some
Just for some time,
collaborative work with Professor
our
Elizabeth,
students
Dr.
be
Jignasu
benefiting.
Dubey.
Okay.
All right. Over to Jigyasu.
Thank you, sir. At the end, on behalf of the Center of Excellence Simulation and Gaming at Sri Vaishnav Vidyapith Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, India, would like to give our most sincere thanks to Mr. Hans Lex for accepting our invitation and giving his precious time out of his busy schedule. It was really a great experience for all of us to listen to you. We have a great discussions. Once again, thanks to Hans for his session. Our special thanks to Dr. Upinder, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, for joining us from the other part of the globe where it is about midnight. Sir, you always inspire all of us. Thank you very much for your support. Our sincere thanks to Ms. Mary Kay for her support. She is coordinating and helping us in arranging the resource persons for this webinar series. Our special thanks to our panel members, Dr. Elizabeth, Jawahar Ballaji, Dr. Vinod, Dr. Mantoshji, all other panelists presents and participants who make this webinar successful. Thanks to Professor Rupali Bhartiya and all the members of COESG of the university. At the end, we also extend our thanks to the IT team of the university for their excellent support. Thank you. Thank you to all of you again.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you, everyone. I request all the participants to please fill the feedback form as mentioned in the chat box for getting the e-certificates. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Vinod sir. Thank you, Guru Prasad ji. Thank you, Rupali ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Hello, Shadab sir.